I just wanted to point out some issues with Turnitin and why we need to interpret the Turnitin score rather than be fanatical about a particular percentage. This particular essay, for instance, is at 38% Turnitin score, which seems quite high, and you would think there might be an issue. But I want to point out a few things the way that the Turnitin has been set up in this case. For instance, this number here, 10 on the report, this refers to submitted to the university a student paper. So some other paper has said something similar. And this particular passage here, for instance, that's in blue, it says it does require the defendant to prove the truth. Well, that's a very ordinary way of putting something. It's not peculiar to any textbook or anything like that. And it simply means that an important aspect of this, which is an essay about defamation, in the UK that is actually the case. It does require the defendant to prove the truth. And it's not something that you would necessarily want to punish the student for using a phrase that's not necessarily elegant. And you wouldn't say that this is necessarily plagiarized by phrasing something in this way. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words together. So I'm going to use this filter here to make some changes to this Turnitin report. If I press on the filter, and it's got, at the moment, it's collecting 5 words. So any 5 words together, which could come up or has come up previously, will be marked up as unoriginal. We've just seen a 9-word phrase, which it is not particularly unoriginal, not particularly original either, but you wouldn't, it would seem to be odd to question the student because some other student at some point has submitted a paper on a similar subject saying the same thing. It requires the defendant to prove the truth. So I'm going to put in, make a minimum of 10 words because I don't think those 9 words require any kind of further action. The quotes are going to exclude as well. It seems to have a problem, Turnitin, with quotes. I'll speak about that more in a moment. And exclude sources. We'll do that. Okay. So if we put those filters on, exclude quotes, exclude the bibliography, and exclude words less than 10%. And then we apply those changes. We're then going down to 24. Now, you might think that's still a little on the high side, but I want to show you a couple of things that I still think are a bit of a problem. Here, for instance, there is some sort of issue with the quotation marks here, and then they've started again here, and then they finish here. So the student has not properly really, she started these ones here, and then she started the quote here, but she's not properly closed these quotes. So this part here is included, and it's simply as a result of failing to put in a proper closing quotes. So that seems very unfair. And you can similarly exclude parts like that. So I can take a look at that. It's come from some legislation. She's actually trying to quote that, which is perfectly fair. So I would want to kind of filter that out. That particular part. Okay. So I can then have a new report on that. So I go back to this. So that's just an example of one where I would say, well, this one is 5%, so there's 3% on this as a result of basically, uncertain or poor punctuation. And that poor punctuation comes down to failing to close this quote properly. Okay. Here's another part here. There might be something in here, but it is a bit broken up. It would seem to be there's been an attempt to at least edit it, but there might be some case there for saying that that is needs further investigation. Okay, and these other parts seem to be quite small series of words. We had actually put in the 10 words, but that doesn't seem to have stopped it from coming up with these parts, which are sometimes less than 10 words. Okay, so I just wanted to point out some issues here that even after we apply the filters, it's worth taking a second look, and in some cases you could say that the student has not really punctuated this properly, but if we were to exclude some bad punctuation, I can't see how we could accuse her further of any kind of sort of plagiarism.